La industria discográfica se hunde. Necesito buenas ideas y ya.
2 palabras. Jonas Brothers mexicanos.
So, Jonah, tell me.
Nice to see you.
It's good to see you too. When did you first hear about the project? How did you get involved?
I think it was around the time we were finishing Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Nick Stoller had the idea. I think he noticed a bizarre, funny chemistry between Russell and I and wanted to explore that in a film where Russell and I were the 2 leads. And he pitched us the idea, and we thought it sounded great.
Talk to me a bit about your character. How do you see at least Aaron?
Tú, quiero ideas.
El mes que viene es el 10º aniversario del concierto de Aldous Snow en el Teatro Glee. Podemos organizar un concierto aniversario.
I see Aaron as a good-hearted guy. He's ambitious. He's, he has morals and he's sweet. And I think a lot of his character has to do with the fact that where does your ambition end and where does I think a lot of Aaron, a lot of the shades of Aaron can't talk. I think Aaron's a good-hearted guy. He's very ambitious, and I think a lot of his journey is about where do your ambitions end and your morals kick in.
I remember you telling me that this is probably the closest character you played to yourself and your first grown-up role.
I believe so, yeah. I think it is probably the character that's most like myself that I've ever played. I think the only movie people really know me from is the only other movie I was the lead of was Superbad, and in that film, I'm a 17-year-old obnoxious, loudmouth, horny teenager, which I think was completely appropriate and worked really well in that film. But I think people think I'm like that, and unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not really like that. And it was nice to play someone who was closer to myself.
Es el rock en persona. Estoy conduciendo.
How would you describe the relationship that Aaron has with Aldous and those 3 days, tumultuous days they spent together?
I would say he loves music, he loves Aldous's music, and he's a very ambitious guy looking to get ahead in the music business. And I think it's kind of the ultimate fantasy, like who hasn't fantasized about partying with their favorite rock star and going on the road with them for 3 days. And I think he kind of realizes as more goes on, the rock and roll lifestyle's a little hectic and a little insane.
Very insane. Tell me a bit about working with Russell Brand, this time much more.
Yeah, I think it was really exciting to get to work with Russell. We knew each other and liked each other and respected each other, but I think this was an opportunity to we really got to know each other, I think, on a deeper level as friends. And he's just besides being obviously talented and funny, he's just a genuine good person.
And you also get to work with Sean Combs, and I think he's great in the movie.
Yeah, I loved working with Diddy, Sean Combs. He was really eager to, audition for the film. He got my phone number. He told me he was a big fan, and that's why I wanted to do it. So he flew out and auditioned for Nick and I, and he just knocked it out of the park. And I think one of the greatest things about the movie is when, you don't expect Diddy to be very funny because he's so serious to his image. And he's just shockingly funny in the movie.
Being on an Apatow movie and you guys being such comedic forces, I know there was a lot of improvising going along.
Yeah, there's a lot of improvising. I like to say it's probably 60 to 70% scripted and then 30 to 40% improvised.
How much fun was that?
It was amazing. I love Nick Stoller. He's such a talented writer and director. He's such a good person. He's one of my best friends. And Russell, again, same thing. And it was just, a dream job.
And you went on location, which is a rare treat. I mean, you actually were in New York and London and LA and Vegas. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just completely surreal and dreamlike to be shooting in the middle of London and Trafalgar Square, or, in New York City shutting down Rockefeller Center and shutting down a casino in Vegas. It just seems like, just seems dreamlike when you're doing it. It doesn't even seem real.
And you were actually here at the Greek Theater.
The Greek Theater, yeah. A very famous venue in Hollywood, California.
You get to do some pretty outrageous stuff in the film. I mean, can you talk about what you found craziest of all?
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. I think the threesome was probably the craziest scene to shoot. Definitely an interesting experience.
Es súper divertido.
¿Has bebido absenta de principios del siglo pasado?
No.
How much did you learn about the music industry? I mean, how did you prepare your role?
I prepared my role. What was interesting was, my brother's a music manager and my dad's an accountant for musicians. So I kind of come from a music business family and had a lot of stories growing up that I could associate. But the main thing I did to get into character was I just pretended I was with my heroes, and that would help me get into character. So I often pretended I was with Bill Murray or Martin Scorsese. That's kind of how I looked at it, or Paul Thomas Anderson.
How real is it?
Huh?
When you show on screen, how real is that?
When I show what?
What's shown on screen, how real is it?
I don't know. You know, I think Diddy was the best part while we were shooting because he's such a big figure in the music business, and he was really our authenticator as to if something was, you know, authentic or not. He could call us on it if it wasn't true to what it would really be like.
An important relationship in the movie is also the one that your character has with Daphne, with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a bit what's going on there?
I think my character has a really good, solid relationship, and then they kind of hit a little bit of an apex in their relationship right before Aaron goes on the trip to pick up Aldous, and they kind of have to deal with this rough patch while he's on the trip, and it's kind of, you know, muddled about where they're at in their relationship.
And Elizabeth, she's wonderful also.
She's fantastic. Elizabeth Moss, who plays Peggy on Mad Men, plays my girlfriend in the film, and we were lucky to have her. She's such a talented actress.
Jonah, this film, apart from being outrageous and funny and many things, it also has a lot of heart. Don't you think so?
I definitely think it has a lot of heart. You know, when you make these movies, even though they're, you know, they're raucous, R-rated comedies, it's one thing just to make a funny movie, and that's great. You know, that you got to have great jokes and you got to make the audience laugh and do outrageous things. But I don't think people will care at all about the movie if there's no heart and they don't believe in the characters and what they're going through. So we put as much emphasis on the heart as we do on the jokes.
Why do you think Judd Apatow is so successful with his comedy?
I think Judd is so successful because he works really hard. He cares about what he does, and he's a talented guy. And I think, you know, he's definitely my mentor, and I think the main thing I've noticed from him and learned from him was what you said basically about adding heart to these things and making sure that you don't skimp out on paying attention to the details of the relationships and the characters, and as long as things feel genuine and real, then people will connect with it.
You and Russell have amazing chemistry, and you couldn't be further apart. You even see it on the poster.
Right. Yeah, well, I think that's part of our chemistry is, you know, we're definitely, it's an odd couple type thing where we come from different worlds and are very different from one another, but deep down, I think we relate to one another just in raw human emotions.
Tiene 72 horas para llevar a Aldous al Teatro Greek en Los Ángeles.
Perdón, disculpa.
If someone asked you, how would you explain that movie, Jonah, Get Him to the Greek? What's that about? How would you explain it?
I would explain it as a raucous, debaucherous, R-rated, you know, rock and roll road comedy. And I would say it's kind of like a Dirty Almost Famous. And, you know, it's crazy and insane and has, you know, wild partying and rock star lifestyle, but also has a tremendous amount of heart and honesty to it.
Look, I know you're a pro, but in some moments it must have been hard to keep a straight face on.
Definitely. I think during the adrenaline scenes where I'm in the car and I'm giving that speech about love while I'm still very filled with adrenaline from the adrenaline needle, that was one of the hardest times I had to try not to laugh.
How is Nick as a director?
Nick is amazing. You know, he's one of my best friends and he's a great guy, and I love the guy, but, you know, after Superbad was very successful, I had a very hard time choosing another movie to be the lead of because, you know, I could have sold out 100 times and made bad movies, and I really just wanted to take my time before I put myself out in front of a film. And to me, it's all about the director and the writer, and Nick Stoller is just someone I just trust with all of my heart. I just trust him to make a good movie.
Is this a character you may maybe in the future want to or like to come back to?
In this film? I don't know, you know, if Nick has another idea, you know, I'm definitely open to working with him and Russell again, so.
When you have so many takes and you're improvising so much, I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing the movie completed. Now that you have, finally.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I love it. Honestly, as I said, I didn't want to start another movie because I love Superbad so much until it would be as funny, and I think this stands in the same ballpark as just as far as heart and hilariousness.
The movie is funny, and you know as a comedian that sometimes something that you prepare really well maybe is not that funny, but some silly thing that happens can get the best laugh.
Right.
Does that happen?
Definitely. I think the furry walls scene, you know, which is kind of the people literally applaud at the end because they laugh so hard during it. That was just something Nick kind of thought of on set while we were shooting.
And what is your, I don't know, what is your toughest, I would say, your toughest moment during this shoot?
I'd say the toughest moment was probably just the jet lag from all the traveling. I loved the experience. I love everyone in the cast and crew, and I think the only thing that was hard was sometimes everyone would be tired because we would be jet lagged from going from city to city and then waking up and shooting the next day.
I think this film is going to play really well internationally. What do you think?
I think it helps. Rose Byrne and Russell are from different countries, and I think it helps us. For me, you just want to please the audience and make them happy. They're paying good money to see the movie, and I think it's nice that there's kind of something for everybody in this movie between myself and Russell and Diddy and Rose and Elizabeth. There's just a lot of, different flavors and different shades.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Cool.
It's always great to
Yeah,
talk to
thank you. You too.